In the last installment of this romantic discussion, I talked about a number of allies and acquaintances I had who found themselves having a difficult time with the current climate of, I guess, women. Um, and I was disappointed because these were guys I thought were of high quality. They were nice to talk to, and I found to have some level of intelligence that I typically didn't get out of most on the street encounters. I thought I placed a high value on them, but then I realized I was wrong. For you see, in spite of the fact that a number of them are in college, have high school diplomas, um, could probably tell you more about the world than a large chunk of people. They need to work on themselves more. One of these guys has actually been criticized for his short stature. He's 5'7". And I always told him, well, look, I'm 6'2", and I get the same issue with many of the current era females. But you know what? He just wasn't working on his height. So I told him, hey, look, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take you, Mr. 5'7", and we're gonna stretch you out and make it to where you're 6'7". Don't ask us how we'll do that. We're just going to try to figure it out. You feel it was Saber Wolf. And Saber Wolf also has not come to the realization that there is something wrong with him. Something that he himself doesn't know, that random commenters online are able to pick out and deduce and scruff through and seek out and go, something's fishy over there. They're able to weed him out for his true colors, in the word of one commenter. So Saber Wolf, in the words of this song I've composed, you're the one with the problem. You're the one, there must be something wrong with you, despite the fact that bastard children number 72. The women that pop them out can't keep a man, that tells you. So we know Saber Wolf's trouble now. I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him comment again. He's been revealed. Saber Wolf's been exposed along with me and everybody else. Now, a lot of you have actually thought to yourself that when you go and you learn these things, like me, for example, I like to learn about other countries, the U.S., um, a VVS. I intend to do something related to that Canada driver thing. I just want to make sure that, I'm able to do it in the manner where I'm not filtering myself because of outside circumstances. Although I have to admit that me saying that actually, because according to one commenter, I think VVS knows what I'm talking about. I can actually control the perception of those around me by just working on myself. Don't ask him how to do it. Oh, wait a second, we actually did get how to do it. Get a hobby, which I would think vlogging is a hobby. I would think reading is a hobby. I would think drawing is a hobby. I would think listening to music is a hobby. These are all things I've done at various points. Long walks, um, many skills that are just things people regularly know how to do. And this isn't bragging. This is just common activities that we've seen many people engage in. And I've actually spoken to many women who've claimed, and in some cases verified, having the same hobbies. And you guess what? They said no too. So maybe that says, gee whiz, maybe if you go up and approach someone who likes the same things, the chances of them saying they want to do something with you will be the same as anybody else. There's a thought. Another thing that he wrote was learn to paint, which I know how to do. So, and even if I didn't, so let me get this straight. If I learn these new activities, because I'm tired of the platitudes as well. When we work on ourselves so much, what will others have to offer? Well, you're CX. You're speaking on logic. Remember, one of the problems with Saber Wolf, with VVS, with anybody else that comments on my stuff is that you're too logical. You try to make sense out of things. Like I'm sitting over here using these statistics to prove that the current climate of relationships is a failure, a failed model, because of all this mayhem that's going on as a result of the parents of these children and just things that come out of that. Yeah, you have to stop trying to make sense of things with facts. You have to just start using emotions and feelings. Forget the fact that you're sitting over here actively going to school and, you know, trying your hardest to make the best of what you have. No, 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 that's not good. Instead, we're going to tell you, people that, remember, have never seen you approach before a day in their lives, there's something wrong. Oh, uh, Envoy, I'm glad you came. I had to tell you something. You're the one with the problem. You're the one, there must be something wrong with you, despite the fact that bastard children number 72. The women that pop them out can't keep a man. That tells you. So there's something wrong with Envoy, and there's something wrong with everybody else in here. All seven of us have issues, except if one of you six viewers is that same commenter. That's the sole genius. Everybody is a beta male, and he's the only smart one. Apparently, that's the proper way of how we're doing this. I guess what I find so strange is that people have this thing where they can't recognize. Yeah, well, I composed all my own. I've pushed positioned my copyright. You know, most people would say, you know, I just made this, and it's kind of whatever. But because I have to be, according to this user, you know, making six figures, I'm going to sue anyone who sings that, so I can just keep going in court and having defamation lawsuits and plaintiffs and all of that nature. That'll be my claim to wealth. You know, never mind the fact that you have plenty of people who are living in impoverished neighborhoods who are jumping in bed and creating more children to keep that cycle going on. No, I'm supposed to believe from this commenter that supposedly the only way to get any type of woman is to work on yourself, improve yourself, believe in you, all that stuff. In spite of the fact that we have things that prove it to be anything but the case. You know, you have guys who, I mean, I've seen people who could barely speak, and they're still able to just, you know, jump in bed. You know, I remember the story of the mentally ill woman that just because of, you know, her average appearance just kept popping out kids because guys kept impregnating her. You've had many scenarios where people who have deficits in terms of, because, you know, even detractors. Yeah, he watched a totally different video. That's pretty much it. But even detractors of me, for example, who have actually, you know, admitted that I am not, you know, the grossest looking man on earth and can at least sound as if I know what I'm talking about. In many scenarios, you have people who can't even put together some words, who will just you know, be in some committed relationship just for the fact that they're a woman. And, you know, I don't believe that the way in which one speaks automatically disqualifies someone, but, you know, when you see their other personality ticks and traits, you can surmise what I'm speaking about. But yeah, I find it, you know, one of the difficult things about trying to deliver content every couple of days or daily is that I have tried to mask the fact that I was bothered by the romantic stuff, even if it became somewhat apparent by me talking about it here and there. Um, and in many cases thought, hey, maybe this is just me focusing on other things. But I've actually had multiple people try to push this narrative that somehow by me focusing on those other things, I have eliminated the higher chances. Effectively, what they're saying is that, let's pretend I decide I'm going to make a documentary that's an hour long and put it on this channel, right? I would have someone say, you know, I guarantee you that in the time you spent making that documentary, you could have been at the mall or the beach trying to talk to some random women. That kind of logic. But then if you go and say, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna work on this for these 2 or 3 hours. Then I'm gonna go over to that random area to go and hope and catch a glimpse of someone that maybe might not say, no, I don't want your number. You're told that you're, you know, going out and doing the wrong thing. That you're not focusing on yourself. So you're getting these two narratives pushing themselves back and forth, and you're kind of caught in the middle of it and saying, well, Jesus, what else can I do? You know, like this commenter, for example, you have a guy who writes paragraphs. Whenever someone does that, I get more inclined to respond than anything else, because I think when people take the time to try and speak to me, I should make the effort back. Um, but it's like did you watch something different? I sit here and I write back, and I go into each part of that, point out your transgressions makes you in some people's eyes. Yeah, well, some people aren't waking up to the fact that there are. Listen, the as I've said before, the current model of relationships is a failure. It is a complete uh, catalyst for the degradation of society. Whether we're talking about the prison population, um, number of people dropping out of school, just there's plenty of factors that are can be traced back to the out of wedlock births, to divorce rates, and it's really frustrating because I know that there is again a silent majority, and I'm sure that the guys who are going to rebuff that comment um, won't even understand what that term means. I didn't know my name had a G at the end of it. AOU. So let me get this straight. Now people can start naming me. AOU's over there trying to cyberbully me. Hey, that'll be attractive in the eyes of the local woman walking down the street. I don't know anything about your net worth, your personality. I just saw you write a comment in this guy's live stream calling him a different name, and he responded back to you. So automatically, you must have confidence. You must be, worth a damn. All of that. It's now confirmed based off the fact that you just spoke to this guy out of his name, and he responded back with some level of respect, as opposed to you know animosity. That's all been confirmed from that one comment. Envoy says, we live in a headline era, meaning we just pick out trigger words or see headlines in tabloids, but don't understand the totality of the issue. Well, here's the thing: you have to understand attention spans are awful. Um, I could sit here and talk for 2 minutes about the major points of World War II, and I might get, like I said before, 50%, maybe 25% of the people in here to watch that. Um, and that's why I stopped doing those brief history uh, videos where I would just sit there for 2 minutes and sum up the main points of some policy or some world event because I knew people weren't going to take any of that seriously or actually pay attention to it. Now, my problem with many of the people leaving these comments is that they're going and saying, well, we admittedly don't know how you approach. We admittedly don't know what you've been through. We saw a 12, 24, 44-minute clip. So now we have a window into your soul. We can tell you who you are, how you've, done things in the past. Do you think there's any way to rebuild human attention spans? Issue is technology, too much info to consume. I think the issue is that there's no incentive. Like, for example, let's pretend you have a guy. I'll use myself. I get called lacking confidence, so I can boast. You have a guy who sits here and he reads up on these world events, and you decide to just say, well, you know what? We are very happy that you are informed of things that have gone on and have shown knowledge of stuff. And then that same people who are saying that are the same group of guys who are going, wow, that man must be really smart. Or women who are saying, wow, that guy must be really smart. Are over there staring at the dude, who couldn't even tell you about the Iraq War or anything of that nature, just the basic premises of it, and are going, yeah, let's partner up, let's get together. And so then they jump in bed and they start the banging game, and then 9 months later they pop out some child, and either before that or shortly after that they fall out and become convinced. The woman says, why did I ever associate with you? And the guy says, yo, I don't know why I even bother with you. And then 2 3 years later, here I am, or here AOU is, or here VVS is, just walking down the street with his hands in his pockets, and the woman says, oh, so I'd like to get to know you. And you go, okay, cool, yeah, sure, why not? You go over to her house, you see her, child she had with some other man, and then you realize the rude awakening only came until it was too late, and that's exactly what is being set up. Lobo Vancouver, let me say hello to him. Okay, Trek says it is absurd when a guy doesn't manifest obnoxious, sim beta males. Yeah, now just work on yourself. If you're making 5 figures, make 7 figures. If You're athletic. Learn how to fly. Going back to their abusive ex. I don't love it. I'm used to it at this point. And CX also, what you need to start doing instead of typing in here, maybe you can, make all of your stuff rhyme and show some more effort. Work on yourself, work on your words. Who else is in here? But yeah, I do intend to make something relating to that, the truck driver when this is over, which it probably will be soon because we're kind of getting dead air in the stream. So I'll be right back, and it's going further rather for what I had. Yeah, well, that's the thing. They listen. All the people who are telling you about um, needing to have, like I read the one comment off in the Good Man Falls video where you had a guy who told me 9 or 10 steps of what I needed to do to to get attraction or whatever. Um, and the sad thing that he didn't want to realize is that first of all, he had no idea if any of those things I didn't have. Some of the stuff about your bank account, yeah, just none of that is known to you. But the second was the fact that even if I had these things, what is having those things? Because remember, none of them are. So for example, if you're talking to someone that can speak, I guess relatively well, you don't know if they have $1 or $1 million. But I'm saying that even if I had these things, how would a random woman walking down the street know I have that and make it to where she goes, yeah, forget talking to, the dude at the gym. Let's discuss, this, let me talk with this person. How do they know that? Unless I brag about it, which, you know, again, is going to make it to where now every woman is automatically a gold digger in the back of my mind, which is more sexist than anything I ever said. So work on you can't buy true love. That's my point. But again, what I want you to understand, and this is how we're going to close this. I'm not going to answer any more comments or questions. The work on yourself myth is the idea. It is effectively it's like the Grand Canyon. It is an endless pit of goalposts that you are supposed to just keep meeting and keep meeting. And whenever you meet more of them, and people say, "Oh no, you still haven't, uh, gone to this level," and you go to that level, and it still just keeps going and going and going, it's a waste of time. And look, you can have people claiming that supposedly, if I just do this, this will happen. If I just do this, that'll happen. But I've seen people do it. I told you the story of Brian, who was, wealthy enough to have his own business, who had his girlfriend sit at his house and drain his resources and cheat on him. So it's all worthless. The fact that you have people who actually have taken their time to keep perpetuating something that show not to work. Well, responding to the last commenter here, I don't have to be him to know that it doesn't work. Thank you.